Hi, it's Jen with Counseling You into Adulthood, and today I wanted to talk to you about the question of college and how do you know if it's right for you? I think some people have that question answered by their parents and their family, and maybe it's just something that's always been assumed for you, that it's just the natural progression of what comes after high school. And maybe it's not really a choice, it just comes next, and I'm not here to question that. But for those of you who do make that choice for yourself, or who have a conversation with your family members, or who just aren't sure of what is next after high school, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, what is next, what comes after high school. Or maybe you have already graduated and you're just not sure of what is the next step for you. So I think the most important thing is to figure out what would be the most fulfilling thing for you to do as a career. Like when you sit back and you think about what you have to do for at least 40 hours a week, every week, for years and years and years. Most people do end up changing their career at least a couple times. I believe the average is you change your career about 5 times over your lifetime. But what would you be happy doing every day in and out? 5 days out of the week, 40 hours a week. What do you think that would be? And if you're not sure, I think that's step number 1, is really figuring out what that is. Because once we figure out what it is, that really helps guide you to figure out if college or something like a college is right for you. So if you aren't sure what that thing is, what your career is, I think the best thing I can recommend is for you to head to your local library, or if you are in high school, head to your counselor's office and ask for some guidance on finding some sort of character assessments, some sort of career assessments. And these are typically, there's lots of really good assessments out there that are short quizzes. Some of them are very long quizzes. But when I say quiz, it's just something that's built to get to know you, your skills, your interests, and that are going to help you figure out what kind of a career would be suited to a person like you. And once you have that information, usually what it's going to do is it's going to say a person like you would be well suited in this type of a career. And then that kind of helps you come up with a list of 5 or 10 different careers that you might want to do some more research into. And again, if you're in high school, that's really what your school counselor is there for, is to help you figure out how to do more research into those careers. Maybe you're going to go on the Bureau of Labor and Statistics website. It's bls.gov, I think is the actual website name. And that is a government website that gives you tons and tons of great information about the forecast. So what those jobs look like in the future, if those jobs will continue to have need for more people, what the average salary is, what the outlook looks like in certain states in the US, what their average, or not what their average is, but what the typical job duties are, things like that. So those are all really good things to get to know. One of the things I really love to suggest that students get to find out is what a normal day looks like for somebody in a career. And I don't care what kind of a career it is, because we can read about all this great stuff online, but really, I think what gives you the best feedback on a job is talking to somebody who's lived the job and who's done it day in and day out for years and years, and maybe been there, through the ups and downs while the economy's changed and while they've seen maybe some different supervisors and just, seeing some changes and growth through their career, because they can really tell you like what they've learned, what they wish they would have known going into their career, what they would have done differently, things like that. And the other thing that I like to encourage is for you to ask if you can shadow somebody like that. So, hey, can I come follow you around for a day at your work? Or maybe not for a day. Can I come sit with you for a couple hours and watch you work? I know police officers do this pretty often, where you get to do ride-alongs and get to watch a police officer work. So, I know even like my husband will do it. He's an accountant. He'll allow people to come sit in, sometimes there's meetings that people can't hear, certain financial information, but there's lots of people who are more than happy to let somebody who's interested in their career just come and sit in and learn about what a typical day is like, so that they can figure out if this is something that they might be interested in. So I would say if you've been able to figure out, narrow down your list of career choices and find some things that are of interest to you, if you know someone who's in a career that you are interested in, it doesn't hurt just to ask. Either ask questions about their career or ask like, hey, could I come to your office sometime? Or, hey, could I take you out for lunch and just pick your brain? Hey, could we talk sometime, and just ask a few questions. I think it's definitely worth it, especially if, you're considering going to college for this career to enhance your education. It could end up saving you a lot of time and money, especially if you decide that this might not be for you. So I think that is a really good starting point to help you figure out if college is for you or not, is to do a lot of research to figure out what that initial career might be that you want to head down the path towards, is figuring out the career, talking to people who have been in that career, and, trying to figure out, is it something that you could see yourself doing 40 hours a week, probably 50, 48 weeks out of the year, something like that, for multiple years. If it is, then it's time to do, more and more research into what that job entails, especially figuring out, does it entail college? If it does entail college, how much college? And how much is that college going to cost? Okay, some jobs might only require like 1 year of additional schooling, which is usually more like a tech school, whereas other jobs might require a 4-year degree, like a bachelor's. Others might require like another 2 years beyond that, which would be like a master's level. And some are beyond that, like a doctorate level or even further. So it's really important that you figure out what your career path requires for your education, and then figure out the amount of time that's going to take you to get that completed and the cost. Okay? And when you're figuring out the cost, please promise me, just through video here, that when you figure out the cost, that you're not just going to go on the website for the schools that you're interested in and look up the average cost and say, oh, it says that the average cost for the average student is, this amount, that's what it's going to cost me. Every student is not the average student, so please don't go by that. Call the financial aid office, okay? At least for your top choice school, and talk to them. They will help you figure out what you and your situation on average would cost, okay? Especially if you are an individual who is living on your own and your parents are not claiming you on their taxes anymore. Please, please, please check with them. Minnesota has some great programs right now where like students who are going into like the business field or nursing, I believe teaching is one of them too. They can, if they qualify, get their education for free. So just make sure that you do some research into this. Because we're talking about something that can impact your life for the next 20, 30 years. So it's worth spending a half hour, an hour's worth of time to just do some research into this. Okay, so make sure you check into that to find out what the cost would be. Again, if you're in high school, your high school counselor, I'm sure, would be more than happy to help you with this, or maybe one of your favorite teachers would, stay after school and help you. But make sure that you get all that detailed information. And, if you don't have somebody helping you, all you need to do is call the financial aid office at the college that you want to attend or that you're looking into attending, and just explain to them, this is the program that I would like to go to. I'm trying to get my bachelor's for this or whatever it might be that you want to get. And I'm trying to figure out how much it would cost me. And they'll kind of just walk through the cost with you. So it's worth doing that. Okay. So try and get that figured out before you would decide, if you do want to go to college or not, because that really is a big deal. Now, I do want to say that I think that for some students, even if they've done all of this, that sometimes it just makes more sense to just try the classes at a cheaper school. I know some students are like, nope, I just want to start at a four-year college because I want to get to experience the dorm life. I want to get to experience a big school and all that it has to offer, all the campus life, all the classes, all the team sports, all of that stuff. Awesome. That is totally for some students, but that comes with a price tag. Okay. I know in the state of Minnesota, $22,000 a year and up. Okay. And of course, that's again, if you are middle class and up and you're not getting any financial aid. But if you go to a community college like Normandale, St. Cloud Tech, there's dozens and dozens of community colleges, Anoka, Hennepin Tech, dozens of them around the state. They are significantly cheaper. We're talking like 1/5 of the price. You can get your first 2 years of college done for way less money. And then if you watch one of my other videos on the Minnesota Transfer Curriculum, you can get your Minnesota Transfer Curriculum completed for significantly less money and then transfer those classes over to one of those big 4-year schools and just do your last 2 years of your classes for your bachelor's if you decide you end up needing your bachelor's, and still get that, big university experience for your last 2 years, and not end up with such a huge loan. So I like that idea for some students who aren't feeling the need for the big sorority experience, the big party life, all of that stuff. But I also like it because if you aren't quite sure that college in general is for you, starting at that smaller, cheaper school is just financially a better decision. Okay. If you start out at Normandale, you're just going to be paying less than $1,000 a class. It's just a cheaper option to maybe even just take one class to start. Pick a class in the degree field that you're interested in. Maybe you want to take graphic design. So go in there, jump in, take one graphic design class and see what you think about it. Try it right off the bat. If it's not for you, you've at least just taken one class and maybe you decide to withdraw right away before the withdrawal deadline, and that doesn't even impact anything on your transcript. Then maybe the next the next semester, you try a different class in one of your other career fields that you decided you thought was of interest to you. This is a good way for you to try without being fully invested in that university experience. When you had like the dorm bills and the cafeteria bills and everything else that came along with the university experience. So I think that having that community college as a fallback option is a really good choice for some of you who are kind of on the fence about whether college is for you. Okay. So I just want you to realize that that community college is a good option. The other thing I want you to realize too is that at the end of the day, nobody really realizes where you started your degree. It's where you end your degree that they notice. So my bachelor's degree says University of Minnesota Twin Cities. It doesn't say that Jen started at Normandale for her PSEO program. It says that I finished at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. So that's all they know. Unless they look at my resume, that's all they know. So I think some people struggle with, having that big school name for all 4 years. But the last 2 years when I was focused on my major classes, that's when I was at the University of Minnesota. And I think that's when I got, the important classes, the important material. I learned all that at the University of Minnesota. So to me, it was important to get those classes there. And I saved a lot of money by doing my PSEO, right? So that was my thought process. And that's why I still believe that, doing the cheaper route, going community college for your first 2 years is still a very valid option for so many students. And I don't think that employers hold that against you. Not at all. Okay, that's why these community colleges are still in business, because employers still see them as valid educational institutions. So please keep it as an option if that is something that you want to consider. Okay? Now, another thing to consider is, what if you get to that big 4-year institution and you realize you're miserable, or this is not the field for you? Okay? First of all, I want to ask you to finish out your semester. Okay? Because I think it's super important to not give up on something that we start unless your mental health is at risk, because we always put our mental health first. Always, always, always. But every campus has a healthcare center, so use it. So I want to say that. That's always most important. Call 911 if you need to first, but try to finish out your semester if you can. And then I want you to talk to your advisor at the campus, because maybe it's just a matter of switching gears and finding a different direction to go. Or, talking to them, is it maybe because you're homesick? For some students, a lot of times it's just a matter of staying at the campus longer and just getting acclimated, making friends. And so maybe the advisor can help you find some different clubs and groups to get into to make more friends. So I think it's important to talk with the advisor there, because over the years, they've certainly seen probably thousands of other students in the same situation as you. So I want to encourage you to not give up, like I said, to do your best and continue through the semester that you're in and talk to your advisor. But, I would say that if you feel like you've given it your best, and if after talking to your advisor, you go home, you talk to your parents, if you've all decided this isn't for you, I would say do not stick it out just to stick it out. Don't end up with $100,000 in loans just so you could say, I have my bachelor's. Because if at the end of the day, it's getting you a bachelor's in something you're not going to be happy doing, that ultimately just got you a loan for something you're not going to use, right? And so in my mind, this is my opinion, that's not going to make you any happier. It's just going to make you resent that experience every month when that loan bill comes in the mail and you have to make that payment. Okay? When you have to make that payment every month for the next 20 years, because that's going to take a really long time to pay that off. And I'm just saying $100,000. I mean, the average school here in Minnesota is going to be over $20,000 a year. So it's going to take a really long time to pay that off if you end up, going for 4 years. So don't force yourself into something if you really realize that it's not who you are and what you are fully invested in, because we all make mistakes. We all change our mind. We all realize, maybe this isn't who we are anymore. It's not part of what will make us truly happy. And I really want to encourage everyone to really take some time to dig inside of themselves and to realize who they are and what their dreams are. Both your dreams now and for the long-term future, because we're here for a reason. And I believe that, you want to start your life now. And I think a lot of times we want to try and have these big grandiose dreams and we want to fulfill them now. But I think we need to, build our dreams, right? And over time, hopefully we'll continue to build these dreams and end up who knows where over time. But I think the idea is just that you need to accept that you will change your mind, that there will be bumps in the road, that maybe we'll make mistakes, that life will happen. I think that's the other big thing too, is life happens. There's hiccups, there's things we can't control that might make us go, oh my gosh, I just, I can't do it right now. And that's okay. Like, hit pause. You can always go back, right? Like, you're never too old to finish college. I will say some colleges are like, after 10 years or 20 years, like, I think it's usually 10 years, they'll make you start over again. But, if you're like, this is not my time to do college, so what? Then it's not your time right now. Nobody says you have to go to college. So I think as much as I want you to think about, like, if college is for you, I think an even bigger takeaway I want, and one that I'll probably even do another video about later, is just I want everybody to focus on dreaming and, like, make dreams for yourself, because I really want everybody to wake up every morning and focus on creating the life that they want for themselves, that you want for yourself. Not that somebody else wants for you, like that you're doing all this for your parents because, they raised you and you want to do this to make it up to them. Like, I'm sure your parents know that you love them, if that's your situation. Hopefully it is. But I also know that, like, you yourself deserve a wonderful life. And so I want you to give that back to yourself by creating a wonderful life that's fulfilling and happy and full of sunshine and rainbows. So do what you can to create that life for yourself. And if it includes college, awesome. And if it doesn't, awesome. I just want you to do what's best for you and not worry about creating a life that will make other people happy. So I hope you found this helpful. Again, as always, leave your comments in the chat if there's anything that I didn't address. I will certainly answer it in the chat. And I'd love to ask you to subscribe, and I'll continue making content around what you guys want to hear from me. So again, thank you for following, and we'll see you again next time.